Hi, I'm Jerry Hubbell of NASA Ames Research Center. In the next couple minutes, I'd like to give you a demo of the new NASA app HD. Our goal with the first version of the NASA app was to deliver mission information, images, videos, and news updates in the best possible way for the iPhone and iPod Touch. We've updated and enhanced the application to take advantage of the iPad's larger screen size. Now let's take a look. Here's the new home screen with 3 main navigation areas. First, let's try the icons on the top of the screen. Touch the first icon to link to NASA news topics organized by subjects. The second icon activates a map of all the NASA centers with links to their web pages and visitor centers. You can check an updated NASA launch schedule with the third icon. One touch on the last icon lets you browse current NASA missions. Let's look at the International Space Station. You can make this map fill the screen. So let's zoom in to see the live ground track of the ISS. The map can also use our current home location to show us the next time the ISS will be visible as it passes overhead. We can easily share this information with our friends via Twitter, Facebook, or email. The NASA app now has a new graphical user interface that makes it easy to explore the solar system and the universe. All of the images are active, and with just a touch, we can see a wealth of information about the object. Lots of quick view facts to the left, and plenty of in-depth descriptions, images, and links to NASA missions. To access images, video, and TV, let's look at the icons at the bottom of the screen. One of the things I like best is the ability to display the NASA images in a higher resolution. Here's an example of the current NASA image of the day, and some previous images. Click to bring up a caption. You can also view thumbnails or a calendar view, or go back to where you started. Another great feature is the ability to watch a live stream of NASA TV. You'll also find a large gallery of on-demand NASA videos. Follow NASA with tweets from all across the agency. You can share these on Facebook or retweet with your Twitter account. There's also a featured content section. In this example, it's a collection of stories about women in space. We've had a lot of fun designing and developing this application, and we hope you enjoy it. If you'd like more information, please go to www.nasa.gov/NASA-app.
Hello everybody, this is Scott Roberts with Explore Scientific, and this is the OpenGOTO community. I think it's episode 110, so we've done a lot of these. And our special guest today is Terry Mann from the Astronomical League. We got a good program for you today. Of course, we're going to have a follow-up with Tyler Bowman after Terry goes on talking about the Astrophotography Contest and what's going on there, and Jerry Hubbell will give a talk about his really kind of the first official install, the Mentor program, which will talk about the GOTO systems and the celestial coordinate system and how that works. So, but anyhow, Terry, thanks for coming on with us, and we are excited to have you on. We are going to, I guess, be talking about this special event that's coming up on Saturday, December 5th. And you're setting up the schedule and everything. So what's in store for everybody on Saturday?
Well, Scott, first, thank you for having me. We have set up a program, I would say, kind of like a star party. You have speakers during the day and you're star partying at night. So what I have done is kind of set up a schedule. We will start with David Levy, starting the whole program off. Carol Orge from the Astronomical League, the president of the Astronomical League, will give an update on what's been happening. This has been a really unusual year for us. So you can kind of get the latest on what's going on in the league right now. Then, Scott, you and Carol are going to be discussing the imaging awards that are coming up this year, or next year, rather.
Yeah.
And we're going to have Molly Wakeling on, astrophotography. She's going to talk about deep sky astrophotography, starting back at the beginning, how to maybe start up. And then Molly and I are going to discuss the new imaging program that the Astronomical League just started this year. Mm-hmm. And we're going to have a chair from the North Central region of the Astronomical League, Carl Winning. He's been chair for a while, and they're a very active region. A lot of interesting stuff that they have done, and I'm sure will do once everything clears up again.
Right.
And then we're gonna, yeah, have a keynote speaker, Shane Larson. Now, Shane is from Northwestern University, and he is going to be speaking on gravitational waves.
Oh,
I think it's
wow.
called, cosmic shock. Or cosmic, let me get the title here. The Shaking Cosmos, Observing the Universe in Gravitational Waves. So that ought to be interesting. That would be like a daytime program for a star party. And we do have a couple of people that will be chiming in with views of the sun, and another amateur astronomer that will be joining us from London that should be able to show us what he's looking at in the night sky. And then after all this is over, the star party will begin, and we'll have other amateurs from around the world that will probably join and show what they can, whatever they're looking at.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, that's great. So, how are the members of the Astronomical League finding out about this program?
It's been advertised on or announced on the League Facebook page, which what we are right now recording to, and on the Great Lakes Region Facebook page. Carol Orge will be sending out a WhatsApp newsletter to every member of the Astronomical League that they can see what's going on. That's how we've been kind of keeping up with the members through the Astronomical League. And I think you have advertised it too. So the word has gotten out pretty well. I've gotten a few emails saying we're really looking forward to it and can't wait to see what's going on. So that's always a good sign.
That's very cool. Okay, well, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I guess we'll do door prizes. We'll have
Actually, the questions, I forgot to mention that, because this will be just like the normal star parties. The 3 winners will be announced, and then there will be 3 more questions on Saturday too.
Sure. So if you're watching this program and you have an interest in being one of the astrophotographers to share live images through your telescope, you can get in touch with me I'll put my email address down here so you can see it. It's s@Explore Scientific. If I could only spell Explore Scientific.
How do you spell S?
That was the problem. It's that squiggly thing. Sometimes I get that Z kind of, but anyways, here it is, s@explorescientific.com. And just send me a message, and I'll make sure that Terry gets it, and we'll get you hooked up. So if you wanted to be on one of these live global events, this is your chance. So very cool. Well, Terry, thank you. Thanks for coming on today and telling us all about that. And we were testing today on the Astronomical League's Facebook page, so we're going to see how that all worked out. So, anything more to add, Terry?
I'm trying to think here. No, I think that's it. We hope to see everybody Saturday. It would be nice to be able to catch up with members and other people around the world. That's one of the fun things about this global star party. You make so many different connections, people that have the same interests that you do, and you just learn so much more and can see so much more from everybody that's involved. So thanks, Scott. It's really a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Now, this is, of course, for Astronomical League members and non-members. If you haven't joined the Astronomical League, you don't have to be a member to watch this program since it's free, and we will be simulcasting it. But if you've been curious about the league or the benefits of the league, of which there are many, you can check it out on astroleague.org, and I will put that in chat as well. And they are embracing an international membership program. So, and it's an awesome organization. Now, next year will be 75 years of Astronomical League, right?
Right.
Yeah. And what month is the actual
Oh, you
starting?
would have to ask me that. I don't know the exact month. I'm
And
sure
day and time. I want to know the time.
I'll have that Saturday. The day and the
Okay.
time.
That's right. That's right. The birth of the league. Anyways,
That's it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it is 75 years, and so I imagine we'll have many celebrations going on.
Yeah.
Terry,
Definitely.
thanks very much. Thanks for coming on to our show.
Thank you very much, Scott.
Talk to you later.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so let's jump over to Tyler. Tyler looks perplexed. What's wrong, Tyler?
Not perplexed. I'm tired. It was a long weekend of helping customers and
Oh yeah, helping out in the shipping department.
department this morning. It's
Right.
very tiring.
Yeah, yeah. It's a lot of work. It's cold also here
But the cold,
in our, well, not for Tyler. Tyler was wearing a shorts and t-shirt, I think, out there, and it was like minus 30 or something. Was it that cold? No. It was minus 2 Celsius this morning. That's what it was.
you come in
It's
work
Minus
up,
chilly.
Celsius.
and Scott's coming in here like an Eskimo, just all bundled up with his head showing. He's
Right. Freezing,
Oh, cold.
teeth are chattering.
like, cold.
That's
You got
right.
a little bit to work.
Yeah. So what's happening with our astrophotography contest?
Right now we're up to 40 entrants or 40
Awesome.
individuals. The only ones that I'm seeing that are new are from Mr. Dale Beasley. And
Neil Beasley. Let's check him out.
let's see, where'd he go?
Are we still pretty narrow in our submissions? We're not filling out the whole range of different items that we want pictures for.
Are some planetary, one wide field, and the rest are DSM.
Well, this is just our first astrophotography contest, of which there will be many in the future. So,
And it's with Andromeda's M11, WIM 101. Can't. So yeah, I've been to work too long.
like Wim Hof, that guy that goes the Iceman that swims in ice water. Wim Hof.
This
Wim 101.
here Andromeda Galaxy. I believe he
Beautiful.
an AR 102 shot with a T3I Canon, which is a 450D. So that's
Oh wow.
a image.
Very nice. Very
Um,
nice image.
He is full blown Explore Scientific stuff, other than the camera. He's got an Exos 2 PMC8 and the AR 102. So that's the only really the newest one that's
That's the newest one. Okay. And we've been, for those of you that have been watching us or following us, you've seen the other images. I won't make Tyler go through all of them, but I will make him go through them all at some point before we announce the end of the contest. And when is the contest finish, Tyler?
December 24th.
December 24th. Okay. So I imagine that we're going to see some really cool planetary images because we got that awesome conjunction,
That's what I think everybody.
great conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn. So that should be like a category all to itself. But in one field of view, one photographic field of view, you'll have Jupiter and Saturn there. They're only going to be 6 arc minutes apart or something like that. So it's going to be really huge. We are also going to have a special global star party for December 21st that will be, of course, focused on Jupiter and Saturn. Christopher Go already chimed in that he's going to be part of it. You know, he's one of the world's premier planetary astrophotographers. He might be entering the contest, which he can totally do if he wants. So anyhow, and we'll have other astrophotographers joining in. I think that star party is going to be mostly all astrophotography. So you're going to want to check in on that particular event if you love planetary astrophotography. Let's see. And how about the forums? Anything special happening there?
There's a lot of people wanting to do modifications to our mounts. Add a pier system underneath, put an electronic focuser on there.
On the scope, right? So
Now, if you use the ZWO EAF, electronic assisted focuser, our scope, you have to modify those brackets for it to fit. Now, most of our scopes has the big black bolt underneath focuser for the tension collar.
Yeah.
You have to modify the bracket for it to fit. There's no if, way, ands, or buts around it. You have to do it. Some people are a little scared about doing it. It's fine. Just get a drill press with a 1/2-inch drill bit and just bust through it. It's no big deal. It won't hurt the bracket at all. It's solid aluminum steel, solid aluminum, so it won't hurt it. We just want to make sure that everybody knows what they have to do before they get the actual EAF for our scopes. Now, the older style scopes didn't have that huge bolt on there. It had the
Okay.
ones, and those will fit just fine. It's just with the newer renditions with the bigger, thicker bolt, you do have to modify that bracket to get them to fit. It's not a big deal. Drill press or a hand drill, just drill through it. I did it. It's not a big deal. Yes, it looks ugly, but it works. It's okay. No one sees underneath anything anyway. And it's hard to see things at night. Other than that, hardly any PMC8 issues, which is
Great. That's good news. Okay. All right. So let's see. Seeing people like us on Facebook over here. So I get this little pop-up notification thing. We have a lot of people watching today. So we've got, Stefan Del Pra, Pekka, Martin Eastburn, Richard Grace, Michael Whitaker, Mike Wiesner. He says it's windy, southern Arizona. Okay. Aaron Thompson, good afternoon, everybody. Bergman Scooter, hi from frozen Louisiana. Okay, that's unusual. Book Davy says, yeah, it's getting chilly out there. Dusty Haskins is watching. And
It's nice that these guys are sticking with us after so many
yeah,
episodes.
I know. They're like veterans. They're alumni.
We must not
Norm
be that.
Hughes,
We
good
must not be too
afternoon,
boring.
everybody. Jeff Wise, I might have mentioned. Deep Sky Dude. Hey, y'all. That's right. Hey, all y'all. Okay. Let's see. Who else is watching here? Deep Sky Dude says, gotta love the Astronomical League. And we do. Book Davies says, the books and guides from the league are worth it to me. Stefan Del Pra wants to know Tyler's direct email. I'll shoot off that video of the slippage issue I'm having tonight. So I think it's just Tyler at Explore
Tyler
Scientific. Yeah, Tyler at explorescientific.com. Richard Grace thinks that we're going to have a ton of conjunction pictures. I think we are too. Wade Prunty, I did a mod to get it to fit to my AR-102, and it works great. I think he's talking about the focuser. Pekka says hello from Stockholm, Sweden. Hope you guys are having reasonable weather out there. Brian Fanning says, we got thunderstorms in New Jersey right now. Be careful. Book Davies, I sort of thought home modification was just part of amateur astronomy. It is. In fact, before it was all home modification because you
That's
were
right.
making your own telescope. Let's see. Bergman Scooter says anything below 80 degrees is unnatural. It must be really warm where you live. Jeff Weiss says, love his weather station, Explore Scientific. Thanks. That's great. That's awesome. Well, up next is Jerry Hubbell, who's been chiming in here. And I mentioned to you that he had started our mentor training program with our customer service team, and asked for him to start to bring that mentor training program here on our on our shows. So this is his kind of, I guess, the first initial install. It's going to be about about GOTO systems and the celestial coordinate system. So
Right.
so here we go. I'm going to let him Take it away.
So I'm going to let me share this. So can you see that? So we're going to talk about
Yep.
the celestial sphere and how we find things in the sky, basically, how it all works. And if we can't find stuff in the sky, how's our GOTO system going to find it? Okay,
Yeah.
that's an important concept, right?
Very true.
We have to start somewhere. So let me. So I've actually written this guide. I think I went through this a little bit the last time, but I've written this guide, and I'm going to be looking off to the side because that's where my screen is to look at the guide. So um, we're going to start here with Introduction to GOTO Systems, and that's part one of this guide. And then we've got several sections in this guide. And I'm just going to be summarizing what's going to be on the screen. So if you want to read, you can stop the video once what's recorded and replay it later. If you want to go back and stop the screen, you can read exactly what I'm showing here. And I'm not making this document available yet. Hold on. I'm screaming about my dog. Yeah. So I'm going to be showing this document, but I'm not going to post it yet or hand it out to the public yet. It's going to take quite a bit of work before we start sharing the documents. But this is really an overview of this training that's really geared to be a much longer training session than what I'm going to be going over here. This is kind of an introduction to each of the parts of the
Kind of
training.
an overview, right?
An overview of each of the parts of the training. We're going to be covering quite a bit of stuff over the next few, broadcasts. But again, it's just going to be a summary level view of the training. The actual training is much more in depth. Like Scott said, I've been training the customer service support staff for probably at least 3 months or so now, right?
Yeah.
So we've probably had like 12, 13 sessions to cover a lot of this material, but and we spend about an hour to an hour and a half each week. So to get started here about it, GOTO systems. So GOTO systems are used to help us find objects in the sky and navigate. GOTO is the colloquial way of talking about the system. It's a GOTO because it tells the mount where to go to see the object. But I like to make it talk about it in terms of navigation, because that's what we're doing. We're navigating the celestial sphere to find our destination, basically, kind of like what an astronaut does in space and what we do here on the Earth when we're flying an aircraft or when we're driving our car. We navigate across the Earth's surface to go to our destination. And that's exactly what a GOTO system does for the sky and your telescope. It leads you to your destination and tells you how to get there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's important to understand the basis for this navigation before we even start using a GOTO system. That way you understand exactly what it's trying to do, what questions there's some questions you have to answer when you start using a GOTO system, some parameters you have to set, things like that. And again, that's the other thing about this segment in the show is that this is geared towards the real beginner that knows nothing about the sky really, or maybe has remembered a little bit from his school days, his or her school days when they had
Mm-hmm.
introduction to astronomy in the school. This will be a refresher if you remember any of that at all. So there's going to be some terminology, of course, that we have to learn. And it starts out real simple, but then it gets to be, depending on how far you get into astrophotography and all the other things, the terminology will increase. But we're going to be talking about some terms today that deal with the celestial sphere. And the first term is a celestial sphere. So the celestial sphere is another name for the sky, as all that is. So when anybody says celestial sphere, that they're talking about the sky, and in particular, the sky that's above you right now. That's the celestial sphere. All right. And that's really no more complicated than that. There's some directions in the sky or in the celestial sphere that have names, and we're going to be going over that here in a minute. So think about the local horizon. Okay, let's start out with our local. So if you look at the diagram on the right, this is what the celestial sphere looks like at our location, and we're standing in the center. So when we look straight up in the sky, that's called the zenith. Okay, it's always the zenith, that direction. And objects in the sky may pass by the zenith, okay, or they may be at the zenith, but it's only at the zenith for the smallest amount of time, right?
Right.
Because the Earth's always moving, and that's the other thing. The Earth's always moving. All right. So
Yeah, and we're in trouble when it stops moving.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. So, and the Earth rotates. The way we align the coordinate system, we call east and west. So the Earth rotates to the east, which means that objects in the sky appear to move to the west. Okay, that's one thing to keep in mind. So as the Earth turns to the east, any object that's at the zenith at this moment will tend to move west. Okay, well, look like it's moving west, but it's actually the Earth turning east, so it's a relative motion thing. You could say it's important that you get that concept in your mind about the Earth turns east, objects in the sky move west. And there's a couple other, we'll get into that in the future. And when you're moving the telescope around, it's sometimes hard to understand which direction you're going to move the telescope to move to the object. So it's important that you think about it. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about, so you got the zenith, and you've got the coordinates north, south, east, west. Everybody pretty much knows what north, south, east, west is. The north direction, and we're talking about true north, not the magnetic north, which a compass gives you. The magnetic pole is different than the actual North Pole on the Earth. So we're talking about the North Pole on the Earth, which is the true north. So a line passing from true north up vertically across the sky to the zenith, and then back down in altitude to the south, that's called the meridian. Okay. And as the Earth turns, celestial objects will cross the meridian. Okay. And the other thing to keep in mind, the north celestial pole is on the meridian, just like and that's that line. That's the line that actually defines the meridian, is the line from the zenith to the north celestial pole. Okay, that's the line segment, and if you carry that arc all the way around, that's what defines the meridian. Okay. Now, the next thing, the last thing I want to talk about is measurements across the sky. Okay. So just like on the Earth, we have latitude and longitude. Okay. Latitude and longitude are both on the Earth, are measured in degrees. And latitude is the north-south direction, and it's measured from 0 degrees latitude in the north. So the Earth is split up in 2 hemispheres, as you see on the left-hand picture. There's a northern hemisphere and a southern hemisphere, and coordinates on the Earth for north-south go from the equator, which is 0 degrees latitude, up to 90 degrees latitude, which is the North Pole. And the same thing with the South Pole. It's negative 90 degrees. And that's exactly on the sky how it works. So if you're looking at the celestial equator, okay, the celestial equator is a projection of the Earth's equator out into space. Okay. So if you were to take that line that defines the celestial equator or the Earth's equator and project it out into space, that would be the celestial equator. And that line defines 0 degrees declination.
I see.
Okay. So you see where my cursor is right here? It's pretty small.
Yeah,
My little
it
hand
is
is.
very small. Yeah,
See my little hand?
yeah, but it's close to. Actually, we see just like an. Oh, we do see a hand once it gets off.
Yeah, let me. I don't know why. So
Maybe you
there's
can
the
make it
hand.
like baseball glove size.
Well, I'm trying to. I'd have to go back and set my mouse settings.
But it's where that red line is. That's kind of you see it start over right at the west point right there. It says celestial equator.
Right, and you see
Comes up,
HA. Yeah, plus or minus HA.
so you can see kind of the tilt of this, and that's just our arbitrary tilt in this illustration, but it would give you a feeling of how your position maybe on the globe,
Right.
probably from a position that it shows from that zenith line there.
So if you look
The
at the
left
picture on the right,
illustration.
yeah, the
Yeah.
picture on the right kind of shows that. So you see the equator is the horizontal line on that globe that I drawn there. And then I've got the blue line coming out from our position on the Earth. That's a parallel line to the Earth's equator, but that's that arc. That's this red arc on the right-hand side that says celestial equator. That's where this line is right here that says celestial equator. That's the blue line right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's it projected out into the sky. And then you see how zenith points out from the side of the Earth, because that's where our head points. Our feet
Right.
point down to the center of the Earth, and our head points up to zenith.
If you're looking straight up,
Right.
that point on Earth, right?
Right. Exactly. And then you can also see how the North Pole, parallel to the North Pole, is the direction to the North Celestial Pole. See these two lines, this blue line here and this blue line here,
Right.
are parallel to each other. So that's how that's how it works. So as the Earth turns, things cross the sky, or objects seem to cross the sky from east to west. That's because the Earth is rotating from west to east. All right. And then, so when things cross the meridian, that's considered a zero. There's an hour angle or position, whether it's ahead of or behind the zenith or the meridian. If an object is to the east of the meridian, moving west, all right, so you see my glove over here on the right-hand image. If it starts at the east, in the eastern side of the to the east, and it starts to rise above the horizon, it comes across, you'll see it will finally get up high enough and cross the meridian, and then it will go further west, and then it sets in the west. The amount of the time it takes to go for the Earth to rotate 15 degrees is 1 hour. Okay. So a 15-degree rotation of the Earth is equal to 1 hour. So if you look at this, and you can, and this is called the right ascension axis, and it's, instead of being measured in degrees like the longitude is, okay, on the Earth's surface, we have longitude of 0 to 360 degrees. Okay. Or actually, it goes plus or minus 180, because you've got the Greenwich, you got the prime meridian, which is in Greenwich, England. That's 0 degrees longitude. And you're either east or west on the Earth of the longitude. That's exactly the same way it is here in a meridian in the sky. You're either east or west of the meridian. And if you're east, it's measured in hours instead of degrees. So on the Earth, it's measured 15 degrees is 1 hour of time. So in the sky, it's measured in hours. So it takes, 1 hour east of the meridian is equal to 15 degrees east of the meridian. And that's measured in hour, that's the hour angle is 1 hour. It's 15 degrees. And if you're to the east, then it's a negative hour angle. Okay. I like to look at things to the east. If it's a negative hour angle, it's in the future. Because in the future, that spot in the sky is going to cross the meridian. If you're at the west, so if you have an object that's in the western hemisphere, west of the meridian, it's going to have a positive hour angle. Okay. So let's say you're 2 hours west of the meridian. That means it's past the meridian 2 hours, and it's got a positive, it's a plus 2 hour angle. And I always look at that value. If it's a positive hour angle, then it's in the past because it passed the meridian 2 hours ago. Okay. So it's either in the future or the past. That's the way I look at those coordinates.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one other thing, huh?
No, there's questions coming up here in chat.
Okay.
But you were on a roll here. What's the one other thing?
The one other thing is what is right ascension? Okay. We know what hour angle is. Okay. It's plus or minus how many hours away from the meridian it is.
Mm-hmm.
Meridian is actually the place where we measure sidereal time. So the local sidereal time is the time it is on the meridian. Okay. And that's the time according to the stars. All right, which is slightly different than solar time, which we use on the Earth. So the coordinates are based on, the right ascension coordinates are based on that. Okay. So when an object that has right ascension of 4 hours and 30 minutes, okay, crosses the meridian, that's the local sidereal time, is 4 hours and 30 minutes. All right. So you know when objects cross the meridian based on their right ascension value. And when you get into the mountain systems, it's important to understand where the meridian is on its particularly on the German equatorial mount, because you have to do a special process called a pier flip when you cross the meridian with that type of mount, and we'll get into that later on future sessions. But so it's important that
Dogs don't like that.
they're gonna bark for a minute because my wife's coming in.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So they may bark a couple more times. So that's what right ascension is. It's the time of the object when it measured from a specific point in the sky. And the sidereal time is based on that specific point in the sky also. I'm not getting into the detail right now about that, but that's what it's based on. So go ahead, let's ask some questions.
Okay. All right. Well, first question is people like this this training here, and they want to know if these PDFs or if these slides will be on PDF available for download.
Yeah. So this document is a PDF. I've got it. It's still a work in progress. It's still a draft. I could probably share some of it. I didn't want to put out a whole lot because it's not complete yet. But there are the sources for this. So what I probably need to do is create some references on the internet that you can go to talk more about this stuff also.
Sure.
But if you do a basic, let me do this. Let me bring up a browser real quick and
maybe upload it on the groups.io.
Yeah.
The OpenGOTO.
Yeah. So I'm gonna drag this over here, and I'm just gonna do celestial sphere. All right. And Wikipedia has an article about it. Okay, and it's got, I don't know how many, it doesn't really have it's got a lot of other terms and stuff, but it's got some basic information about it.
Okay.
Talks about the celestial coordinate system, which we'll go over in a minute, but then there's other things. There's some drawings here. So this talks about the horizontal coordinate system. Let me see what else we got here. Equatorial, the celestial equator, celestial coordinate system. So there's some good information in Wikipedia about it. Of course, they get into the math some also, but that's the stuff I'm covering today. Is probably good topics to search Wikipedia or other search tools that you can use to find information about these topics, these actual terms like celestial sphere. Um, Trying to get my browser back to normal.
Does it ever go back to normal?
No, I'm just dragging it over to the other page. No, it's always slapped full of stuff. You can see at the top there. What other
Yeah.
questions do we have?
Okay. Let's see. Well, the question of if you could create a clear sky around midnight, that would be nice.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. Longbow 29 says, should my iXOS 100 only move once a second? Okay, so sounds like an idling steam train. Maybe it needs more water in the boiler.
No, I'm not sure what that noise is, but when it's tracking, it will match the rotation of the Earth. It actually counteracts the rotation of the Earth. That's a normal tracking speed.
Hmm.
So I'd have to listen for that noise. I don't know what you're talking about exactly. So
Okay. Here's another question. Jeff Wise says, what does minus HA and plus HA stand for?
so uh, in relation to the meridian, objects are either east or west of the meridian, and that's what the hour angle is. So HA stands for hour angle, and hour angle is just basically that. How many hours from the meridian are you in terms of the rotation of the Earth? So um, if an object was 2 hours to the east of the meridian, it would be a negative hour angle of 2 hours.
Okay.
And then if the object was setting to the west and it was 3 hours to the west of the meridian, then it would have a positive hour angle of 3 hours. And you can convert between degrees and hours by simply multiplying hours by 15. Uh, um, and that shows you how many degrees east or west of the meridian the object is.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's see. Um, Longbow says, throw your dog a bone. Let's see.
Yeah.
Book Davies, I'm in Topeka, which is about an hour east of geographical center of the U.S. Oh, he's chatting with someone else here. Speaking of the meridian flip, this is Jim Norwood. When should that happen? I was tracking Mars with the iXOS 100 on a test run. I started when it was around 160 degrees azimuth. I tracked well past 210 degrees and no flip occurred before I shut it down.
So if you're using the ASCOM driver, it's reliant upon the program that the ASCOM client, to control the meridian flip. The PMC8 ASCOM driver does not care if you track
So the
past the meridian.
program itself, that your
The program
client,
itself, right? You need to tell
yeah,
the
so
program, right?
some of the programs, I think Carte du Ciel or I can't remember which one it was, but there's a popular one that's out there that has no meridian flip in the software.
Yeah, there's a lot of programs that don't do that. Most programs that control cameras and do astrophotography will perform a meridian flip if you turn that feature on.
Hmm.
Other planetariums by themselves will not do
They
a
don't do
meridian
it.
flip, except for the fact that if you like, for example, I use Carte du Ciel. If you use Carte du Ciel to navigate the sky, and we'll get into those types of programs later on, they will and you command the PMC-8 to go from an object that's east of the meridian to the west side of the meridian, the PMC-8 does know enough, and the ASCOM driver does know enough to do a meridian flip when you slew to an object. So it keeps track of the meridian and what side of the meridian the mount is on, so that it can do a meridian flip to control the mount correctly. Now, when you're tracking, there's nothing in the ASCOM driver that automatically tells it to do a meridian flip, because if you're doing, it's basically set that way because in astrophotography, if you're in the middle of an imaging run and you got, let's say you're planning on imaging past the meridian, you don't want the mount to just all of a sudden by itself go up and flip, do a meridian flip. You want it to do what you tell it to do, which is basically track past the meridian. Now, our mounts can typically track at least an hour past the meridian and not have any problem. The problem becomes if you have a tripod and you get past the meridian and your telescope starts to get really close to the tripod leg, or it could impact the tripod if it gets too far past the meridian. And that's why you need to do a meridian flip at some point. Now, that's for the ASCOM driver. The ExploreStars app actually does do a meridian flip when the object gets to the meridian. So if you're going along and your object is getting closer and closer to the meridian, and you're looking through the eyepiece and you're not really thinking about it, it's 5 or 10 minutes away, and you're looking at the thing, and then all of a sudden the mount starts to move by itself. That's because it detected that the object is at the meridian, and it's going to flip around and get back on the target on the other side of the meridian. So, to make a long story short, the program should control when the meridian flip occurs. It's not built into the PMC-8 per se.
Okay. I think that now this is from Jim Norwood, and I think that's who posted it. Speaking of meridian flip, okay, he says he is using ExploreStars. It was not using another ASCOM client.
Okay, ExploreStars, if you track a object across the meridian, it will do a peer flip. Now, if you didn't see a peer flip, then I'm not sure why that would be. We'd have to talk about it more. But it definitely will do a peer flip once the object's right ascension matches the local sidereal time. That's when it will do a flip.
Mm-hmm. So you have to make sure you start at the home position.
Yeah,
that you are
right,
doing
exactly.
alignment.
If you've done alignment, yeah, all that stuff's contingent on that. Now,
Yeah.
if you've just
within the program, you need to do an alignment, not just a polar alignment. So
right.
because
Although within a polar alignment, it should be very close. I mean, it could track maybe a minute or two past, depending on how close you are to the pole. But again, if you're if you're not using ExploreStars, if you're just turning the mount on and moving the telescope manually across the sky, and you're just letting it track, then all bets are off.
Yeah, so maybe you can just get back with us and kind of go through it detail by detail, Jim, and then we can help you figure it out. Because there's, if it didn't have meridian flip, then no one's ExploreStars program would do meridian flips, so you kind of get an all or nothing with software, right? It either works for everyone or it doesn't work for everyone.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Michael Whitaker, I've been close, but never actually seen it flip yet. I always feel very uncomfortable about the angle of my scope.
Well, there's nothing with the PMC-8 system and stepper drive. It's very safe to even allow your telescope to move into an object, just to contact an object like the tripod. It's not going to destroy anything.
No.
You're
not going to let's say you did run into the tripod. It's not going to destroy any electronics. It's not going to hurt the motor. It's not going to hurt the gears,
Right.
So I would say do it.
I would say just do it. Just try to induce a and the way you can induce a meridian flip if you're using Explore Stars or the ASCOM driver is to go to an object on the eastern side of the meridian and then let it get there and say, okay, and then now select an object that's on the western side of the meridian and hit go to. That's how you demonstrate a meridian flip. That's how you can see it in action. And I think I've shown it on other videos we've done with the MSRO too, what it looks like on the G11,
Right.
what a meridian flip looks like there. But there's nothing to be scared of to give it a try or to let it
And
do it.
it's not going to put a big dent in your telescope or
No.
anything like that. So you will want to watch for cables, that kind of thing. If somehow
right.
your camera cable gets wrapped around something, and pulls your camera out. But
Well, that's the biggest reason to do, well, when you do a balance with all your equipment on there, you exercise the range of motion for your cables. But you can also demonstrate it by doing a meridian flip and see that it makes sure your cables don't get hung up on things and stuff like
right,
that when it's doing
yeah,
a meridian flip.
yeah, just as a safety precaution, you should probably go through that whole exercise. So, well, that's been interesting, Jerry. Thank you. Any other thoughts before we call it a night here?
That was a pretty long session of just about that. So the next time I'll start out here with talking about celestial objects and then the celestial coordinate system. We'll get into more details about how the celestial coordinate system works and how you actually identify and find objects in the sky.
Great. Okay. All right. So again, just a reminder, I gave a kind of coming attractions just before this show, but we are not having a global star party on Tuesday like we normally do. We have two events happening this weekend. One is going to be the Mount Wilson live observatory tours. So you're going to get a live view through, or not a live view, but a live tour through the 100-inch Mount Wilson telescope. That's the same telescope that Edwin Hubble used to your brother, right, Jerry? Actually, his relative.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
His relative did discover the expansion of the universe, and that the Andromeda Nebula was indeed another galaxy by determining that there were Cepheid variables in that galaxy, and it wasn't just a spiral cloud. That happens on Friday, December 4th, and we will get started about 3 o'clock Pacific time, which makes it about 5 o'clock Central time and 6 o'clock Eastern time. So they're going, David Levy will give a introductory talk, probably some poetry as he normally does. And then I turn over the event to Tom Meneghini, who is, he's, I think, the director, the chief person involved at Mount Wilson. And he and several other people will be involved in giving the tours. So we go from the 100-inch, and then we go to the 60-inch. And as we're doing the 60-inch tour, we will give you some peeks through live views through the 60-inch telescope. Now, this telescope is the prototype of all modern telescopes, professional telescopes made today. It has a 60-inch mirror in there that was ground to perfection by George Ritchie, and it just makes fabulous images. I've looked visually through that instrument, and it is just spectacular. So we'll probably have Saturn and Jupiter up. They're going to give some peeks of those planets this weekend through that instrument. Then you'll get a live tour of the 60-inch telescope itself, some historical information about that scope. They'll probably mention that Harlow Shapley discovered that our sun was not in the center of the Milky Way galaxy, which they really didn't know for sure up until they had made that determination. And then after the tour, they're going to have more live imaging through the 60-inch until the astronomers either get too tired or clouds roll in or you guys stop asking questions. So anyhow,
it's going to be really cool to see.
It's going to be totally cool. Yeah, this particular event is kind of a prototype event for the Alliance of Historical Observatories, of which there are several that have come together to promote the individual observatories themselves. And so it's going to be very, very cool stuff. On Saturday, of course, is the Astronomical League's edition of the Global Star Party. And Terry was on earlier at the first of the show to talk about the people who will be coming on, which of course includes David Levy, Carol Orge, many other people will be involved. Solar imagers, Molly Wakeling's going to be on as well, and other astrophotographers. And again, if you guys are interested, any of you are interested, email me and I'll get the information over to Terry and she'll get you hooked up so that you too can share live images through your telescope on that global star party. And so that's all we have for today's show. We're happy that you logged in and watched us, and
Yep.
we will be back tomorrow with Kent Martz on First Light Chronicles. And until then, we'll ask you to keep looking up. So take care.
Take care.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.